Greetings and welcome to 2022. Mayor Jeff Schielke speaking to you on Friday, January 7th, 2022. And we begin the new year with quite a bit of flurry of activity. One of the big things is probably the number one question in the community is, should everybody be wearing a mask? Well, I guess the answer unfortunately is yes, they should. Many people are resistant to it, and there's probably no law that says you have to do it, but we ask your voluntary cooperation in this because there's been new strains of the COVID that have appeared in the United States of America, and Batavia has not been let loose of not having some. We've had some unfortunate situations involving the disease in our town. There's been several folks, unfortunately, who have passed away when they incurred it. It's just a bad scene all the way around the world, and Batavia's not to be exempt. So please consider wearing a mask if you will. It's something that I know myself, when I give a public meeting, as I'm doing right now and speaking, I pull it down below my mouth so people can understand what I'm saying, because I've gotten comments and complaints from people watching the city council on TV where they say if the alderman wears their mask and they're speaking, they don't understand much of what they're saying. So there are certain circumstances when you're maybe in a restaurant and you're eating or whatever, you should pull the mask down. But if you're out generally in the public, and I know I've found myself several times walking into stores and I have the mask in my pocket, and then I'll see other people with the mask on, and then I'll reach in and slip my mask on. So I'm as guilty as the next person for not wearing my mask as much as I should, but I really would encourage everyone to do it because we are having a lot of problems with it. There seems to have been an inordinate number of people who have gotten sick after the Christmas holiday, where they came together and people of all ages got together as families, and some had shots and some didn't. And it appears that many people who didn't have the shot got some type of a COVID infection. So please be careful with this because we're trying to fight something. This is going to be remembered as a worldwide epidemic that has had broad implications, and we're making some history on a kind of a bad note with it. But I know there are people who are recording this whole event on a day-to-day basis, so there will be quite a bit of history written about this for future generations to see as we live through this bad moment in time. So that being said, I just want to, number one, commend everybody in Batavia for the wonderful display of Christmas decorations that you put on, and specifically thank all those who volunteered to bring their stuff down and put it on display on the Batavia Riverwalk. We had a beautiful display this year. I got unknown number of compliments about it by people who said that Batavia really rose to the occasion and did a wonderful thing with all the Christmas decorations that were put out. I know many people went out in cars and rode around and looked at the decorations. Some people, unfortunately, things happened and they didn't get to fulfill their obligations of coming back out and seeing decorations, but they are sorry that they didn't. And I know that many people enjoyed them, and I want to thank Batavia for stepping forward and doing that. We had kind of an unfortunate situation here this past, I guess it would have been Wednesday the 5th, which was garbage pickup day, and it was for everybody that was on the south side of Wilson Street on both the east and west sides of town. And as you may remember, that's the day we got hit with the 50-mile-an-hour below zero winds came roaring across our town. And unfortunately, many people who had the large garbage disposal ones that you push out to put your recycling in, many of those blew over, and many people's garbage lids came off their cans or whatever have you, and we had a really bad problem with garbage litter being blown all over Batavia. And I saw a situation on Main Street right near Moss Funeral Home where two of the containers literally blew right off into the street and emptied themselves out, and within a couple of minutes all this garbage debris was blowing down all over the lawn at Moss Funeral Home. So several people, myself included, stopped and got out, and we gathered up as much of it could in this very heavy wind and got some things picked up, but there was stuff scattered all over the neighborhood, as there were many neighborhoods. And I've had several people tell me about similar incidences that they encountered both on the east and on the west side. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation in trying to clean up the mess that Mother Nature gave us, but there was not much we could do. I know there was some garbage confusion about people who didn't get their garbage picked up, and I think the city's been working very diligently with the garbage company to get those issues resolved. So we had that. Then the other thing we had is that there's been a pretty strong demand on our Public Works Department. We had a few electric lines blow down, but more importantly, I thought that the Batavia Street Department did a most commendable job in keeping our streets as clean as they could, given the two storm events that we had, both the snow and then the heavy wind and cold temperature. And I was very proud of Batavia streets overall, because they did a lot of extra work in getting things cleaned up so that we could make it easy for people to drive around town and do whatever. I talked to several people who went out and tried to clean off their driveways with snow, and some were complaining that they had stiffened their backs up or whatever. Many people were talking about they tried to go out and buy some salt, and it was hard to find salt, although I guess they finally found some. But there was a shortage of available salt. Hopefully the stores have now recharged themselves and we got that back. But I know there were several instances I'm told of where people, somebody beloved to them or a friend, that they had problems at their house, and people went and bought salt and brought it over and put it in their neighbor's driveway or their beloved one's driveway or whatever. And so there's a lot of that going on, and I think that speaks wonders about the magic of Batavia and the support that we show for each other and one another. And the one last thing I'd like to talk about the weather is I just want to publicly go on record as commending both the Batavia Fire Department and the Police Department for some outstanding service during these weather events. The fire department, the paramedics have been just unbelievably overwhelmed by the number of calls we've gotten in the last few weeks. We've been averaging in many instances 15 to 25 calls a day on the fire department, most of it ambulance, and some of it's COVID, and we've had all kinds of distressful calls. And we've been really stretched to the max there, and given all the constraints they're put under, they've done a wonderful job, and I'm very, very proud of what the Batavia Fire Department has been able to do. Same with the police. I know of a number of kind deeds that they've performed for people that needed some car got stuck or whatever have you, or got locked out of their house, and the Batavia police went over and did some very nice acts of kindness. So I'm very proud of both of those agencies, because they really have risen to the occasion and shown us what, in a bad situation, they can do and perform and make rights out of wrongs. So I'm very, very pleased. And finally, today I wanted to just read a thing that's been written for me here to read to you, but it's about we're looking for participation in the community and asking people to take a survey on Batavia biking and walking. And the City of Batavia is partnering with the Active Transportation Alliance and Ride in Illinois to develop a community-wide bicycle and pedestrian plan. The plan will focus on improving walking and biking connections between local destinations, fill in gaps in the sidewalk network, and make intersections safer for people traveling on foot or by bike. This winter, we are soliciting ideas from the community that will help us develop an informed plan and develop recommendations and priorities. There are several ways to participate. You can take an online survey, you can take an online intermap survey, and you can attend a community workshop. Later this winter, we will be hosting a community workshop so you can have a chance to learn more about the plan and brainstorm ideas with your neighbors. Stay tuned for details by signing up for announcements on the project website. To find these materials, we encourage you to go on the city's website or Facebook page and they should be very prominently displayed where you click on and you be able to obtain further information or take the online survey. So we would really encourage you to do this, because as you all know, because of our presence of bicycle trails on both banks of the river, and we're one of the few cities that has that, and we have Mr. Philip B. Elfstrom to thank largely for that. But we also have the ability, with the good cooperation we have from the Batavia Park District. They've done some really nice things to further enhance that. They've done some really good work down at the Quarry Pool, which will be opening this year with sidewalks and bike trails and all kinds of good stuff. And we just want to encourage this, because we think this makes Batavia a very, very friendly community. And certainly the one kind of star or diamond we have in the rough is the river frontage that we have in Batavia, and the river walk that we have continuing to be built over the last 30 years. And we are really, I think, doing a wonderful job with it. And we got a lot more to do, but we got some neat ideas, and specifically some of the stuff over on the east side of the river we can probably add to. So Batavia's going to be someplace that I think a lot of people are just going to want to stop by and visit, riding on a bicycle, and maybe stop at one of our many new restaurants that are evolving in the downtown area. So I've talked a little bit too long today, but I just wanted to thank everybody for your good spirit of cooperation, and publicly commend all those in our community who have stepped forward in this very difficult times with weather and with COVID disease, and fought the good fight. So have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week.